For more on the story, we can go across to France 24's Bénédicte Paviot standing by in London. Bénédicte, good afternoon. Talk us through what the unions are asking for.
Well, we're really witnessing a blame game here, and this is on day one of another two further strikes. More than 40,000 RMT union workers that have walked out, so that's across all nations of the United Kingdom. And then you've got 10,000 RMT members that have brought the tube to an absolute standstill. So what they're asking for is they're asking for at least a pay rise of 7% to offset the rising cost of living. But the union says that employers are only offering a maximum of 7%, and that comes with conditions. And those conditions are that they also accept job cuts and changes to working practices. So we're talking pay, we're talking redundancies, and we're talking modernisation, as the government sees it, of the railways. So the government, and in particular the Transport Secretary Grant Shapps, says that the union workers are holding the country to ransom. The Prime Minister, who's been chairing a cabinet meeting this morning, is really asking the unions to stop this strike, not go ahead even with the other 2 days planned this week, and asks for a sensible, what he calls a sensible compromise for, he says, the good of the British people and the rail workforce. So each side blaming the other for not being successful in what was last-ditch negotiations late last night, and a country that is really still hurting, of course, from the pandemic, and businesses that are already struggling to survive the 2 years of the pandemic and now are being affected across the country because their workers can't get in to work.
And Bénédicte, this rail strike is taking place at the same time that we are seeing lots of reports of flight disruptions due to staff shortages at London's airports. All this during the busy summer tourist season.
Yeah, a tourist season, of course, that was non-existent during the pandemic, where nobody could, very few people could fly into the UK or fly out. Very strict COVID lockdowns and all the various regions and different regulations that we had, where the economy has already been hurting so very much. And as you say, there is real disruption in many airports, not just London ones like Heathrow, Gatwick, Stansted or London City Airport, but in Birmingham, in Manchester, Glasgow, across the country. And that is because the government says that airlines had too many redundancies, took the furlough money, they say £16 billion of it, didn't rehire soon enough, and then what's happened is you've got to not just train staff, but you've also got to get the security clearances for it. You even had on Friday at Terminal 2 at Heathrow, you had a problem with baggage just getting lost and lots of people not being able to fly with their luggage. So a really tough start, and again a blame game about that. And as I said, lots of other things probably coming up. We've got barristers who've decided and voted in favour of a strike that will start next Monday. You've got nurses and doctors unions who are threatening to strike. There's going to be a ballot possibly soon. You've got teachers who are unhappy, all being very, as the population is, affected by the rise of the cost of living, of fuel prices, food prices, and finding they just can't, even though they've got jobs most of the time, meet their bills. And the Labour Party, for example, interestingly, despite the recommendation and advice from the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, asking his MPs not to go and join picket lines, we've just learnt that 12 Labour MPs, opposition MPs, went to Victoria Station and did join the picket lines, very much in very public support of the RMT workers. So possible summer of discontent just starting.
Bénédicte, thank you very much for that. Bénédicte Paviot reporting there.